Welcome to day 23 of the school year. Let's go ahead and fill in our 23rd square there. Okay, our fraction, our denominator is 180. Our numerator is 23. Because we have 180 total school days, that's why it's our denominator, and our numerator is 23 because we're on day 23. So we're going to find our factors of 23. Two factors we always know are 1 and the number itself. And then using the commutative property of multiplication, we can write 23 times 1. Now we're going to go through our divisibility rules in an orderly fashion to check for any other factors. So after 1, we check 2. The rule for 2 is that it ends in an even number. 3 is odd, so 2 is not a factor because it is not even. And if 2 is not a factor, that means no even number will be a factor because 2 must be for any other even number to work. So we'll only check odd numbers now. So let's try 2 plus 3 because the rule for 3 is that we add the digits together, get 5. 5 is not a multiple of 3, so 3 is not a factor. We try 5. The rule for 5 is that it ends in a 0 or 5. It ends in a 3, so 5 is not a factor. We try 7. We list the multiples of 7. 7, 14, 21, 28. 23 was not in that list, so 7 is not a factor. We try 9. 9 has the same rule as 3. We add the digits together. We get 5. 5 is not a multiple of 9, so 9 is not a factor. We try 11. 11, 22, 33. 23 is not in that list, so 11 is not a factor. Once I get to about 11, if that doesn't work, it's a hint that it may be a prime number. So I'm going to look and see. And yes, 23 is circled. Since 23 is circled, it is prime. And if it is prime, that means it has exactly 2 factors. 1 and the number itself, and that's it. So now we want to figure out what our greatest common factor is. We need to try 23. If that doesn't work, then it'll be 1. So we're going to make our groups of 23. Does not matter what your group of 23 looks like, just as long as you do not have your shaded in with your unshaded, and you make sure you have 23 in each group. So I'm using some ideas of decomposition, those patterns to help me. This is using some of the mathematical practices for reasoning. Counting always works, it just takes a little bit longer. So like here we have 21, 22, 23. Up here we had 14 plus 9 is 23. We have 17 plus 6 is 23. 18 plus 5 is 23. 15 plus 8 is 23. Looks like I have 19 left over, so that means that when I have a remainder, that is not a common factor. 23 is not. That means 1 is our greatest common factor. Let's make our groups of 1. Done. We have all our groups of 1. How many total groups of 1? 180. How many are shaded in? 23. So we've done our division with our model. Now we're going to do it with our algorithm. We're going to do our check our division there. So 180 divided by 1, 23 divided by 1. I know that 1 times 100, remember whatever I put here, I'm multiplying to here. 100 times 1 is 100. And this number always has to be less than what I'm subtracting it from. Numbers the same, zeros a game, more on top, no need to stop. 80 times 1 is 80. Numbers the same, zeros a game. Add our partial quotients. 100 plus 80 is 180. You can always get to the answer in a faster way or take more time to get to the answer. There's more than one way to get to the right answer here. Okay, 1 times 20 is 20. More on top, no need to stop. Numbers the same, zeros a game. 3 times 1 is 3. Numbers the same, zeros a game. 20 plus 3 is 23. But we still need to check using our inverse operation. Divisor times quotient plus remainder. Divisor times quotient plus remainder. Since our remainder is 0 on both, and the identity property of addition says it's going to stay the same, we don't need to actually add those zeros if it's going to stay the same. But what we end up with here, and why the division by 1 ends up being the same, has to do with the identity property of multiplication, which says when you multiply by 1, it stays the same. 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 80 is 80, 1 times 100 is 100. 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 20 is 20. 23 matches our dividend up here. Check. 180 matches our dividend up here. Check. So our fraction is definitely 23 over 180. Now let's go ahead and fill in our data collection page. We're in trimester 1 still, week 6. Today is 9, 10, 19. Our fraction for today is 23 180ths, because 23 is that prime number. And since 1 is our greatest common factor and we made groups of 1, you do not have to get out your number line, but I do want to show you it's right here. 23 out of 180, or 23 180ths. All right, go ahead and erase your worksheet, and thank you for joining me.